Hello, everyone. So now all 10 episodes of House of the Dragon have aired. You'll find this, of course, on HBO or HBO Max, Crave if you're here in Canada. But each episode was around the hour mark, some closer to an hour and 10 minutes long. But yes, the final episode, the finale of this season, just aired today. I know a season 2 has been renewed and probably going forward. We'll get to more and more and more because the show has been very successful and very popular so far. But yes, without further ado, let me get into my review for season 1 of House of the Dragon. So, of course, this series starts the Targaryen Civil War. So, it's the internal succession war within House Targaryen at the heights of their power, about 172 years before the events of Game of Thrones takes place. So, we have Rhaenyra and Alicent Hightower basically being the two driving forces of these homes. And of course, we have Daemon Targaryen and a bunch of other very important Targaryen or Viserys Targaryen, very important Targaryens within this history. Again, just events in this series, and especially at the very end, almost the last scene of this season is starting up the civil war that is going to ensue for probably the next 3 seasons at the very least. George R. R. Martin, the writer of course, the Fire and Blood book that this is based off of, which this was very true to. There's a bit of fan fiction and like little history put in between there from the actors that I found was really good. But he has said that he hopes that this is at least 4 seasons long for them to properly do this storyline. So I'm not going to get into any spoilers for this season because I do want people to watch this and get into it. There are a few things that, of course, if you watched Game of Thrones, or at least you know the books, little pieces of lore that are going to just elevate a lot of the scenes for you, elevates a lot of the history for you. There are some things like Aegon's dagger and other effects like that they will allure to Aegon's vision, a lot of things that come into play in Game of Thrones. So again, too, I think that'll heighten your experience if you know that. But of course, this taking place beforehand, you don't need to know those things to get into this show. So I do highly recommend it, and I want to keep it spoiler free for that sake. But now I'm going to kind of break it down in little sections here. So first, I want to talk about the performances, which were all absolutely amazing from all of the cast members, whether they be the old so from the first episodes, so the younger versions of the characters to the older versions of the characters, there was just amazing performances all around in terms of strength, youth, maturity. Again, growing into these characters and doing that through different actors was something that I haven't really seen done before in TV, at least not to this scale. And I thought that they captured the characters absolutely perfectly, did amazing jobs in terms of, again, to the like casting people who could act like one another and grow into the characters a little bit more. Also, looks wise, I found they did an amazing job with Alicent and Rhaenyra. And again, to the actors who stayed throughout the entirety of the season, characters like Viserys, Daemon Targaryen, all were, I mean, Paddy Constantine puts on an absolute clinic of a performance. It's easily one of the best TV performances that I think anyone's going to see this year. He was incredible as the character. Of course, he's been crowned as doing more justice to the character than George R. R. Martin himself did, and that's claimed by George R. R. Martin. He was absolutely amazing and fantastic in this. Daemon, so Matt Smith, was unreal this season. Absolute show stealer in terms of every single time he had to be intimidating, all those things. I found that they were just, he was perfect in the role. Brilliance, born to play it. Same thing as, of course, Paddy for Viserys. There's just so many great performances, and there's nothing that I can absolutely knock, even when it comes down to the side characters who speak a single line, like some of the maesters. I found this, just again, the performances in the show are absolutely amazing, following straight in line with what was done in Game of Thrones. Again, I'm going to go now into the soundtrack, which is also done by Raymond Djawadi, who did the music for Game of Thrones. Crushed it once again. And some of the most epic, spine-chilling, gut-wrenching music you've ever heard for a character just turning around and looking into the camera. At the end of the day, he just brings in so much life and meaning and ambiance, all those things into his music that just elevates every single scene and really captures the characters, the foreshadowing within the scenes. It's, again, too, he's easily one of the best music producers, just composers for TV and movies right now, and he's absolutely, I mean, amazing job with Game of Thrones, and nothing short of phenomenal with what he's been doing with this with the House of Dragon so far. He's absolutely crushing it. Music is just again, I can't put it into words how amazing it is. Cinematography, all of those things when it comes down to the CGI. Some of the trailers looked a little bit rough when it came to the dragons, but that was all polished out through the ending of well, through this entire season for me. And the cinematography that they have in it is absolutely amazing when it comes to some of the dragon riding scenes. Easily some of the best that I've ever seen within, well, any medium with dragons. There's an amazing sequence in episode 6 that just has an awesome dragon ride, and then this final episode had an amazing sequence with dragons that's again too just absolutely haunted you. You use the skills of the dragons, the size of the dragons, all of those things. Kind of brought it down to the size does matter within these dragons. I mean, you could have a bigger fleets, but some of the dragons are absolutely massive, and they really got that scale of the fights between them down perfectly, in my opinion. Yeah, cinematography is absolutely amazing, mixed with the amazing set direction, costume design. Easily the best set direction and costume design in TV, hands down. Nothing's beating Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon for me. Just so much character and life and history woven in each fabric of, again, just the costumes that they're wearing, the uniforms, outfits, armor, things like that. Even when it comes down to like the saddles of some of the dragons that they would have had to put on them, like ginormous nets for some of the bigger dragons that you use to climb up. And that's all that they were able to do on these dragons to have it be comfortable and again just practical for it to work. And again too, just so much story woven into King's Landing, into the Iron Throne, into Dragonstone, all these set locations that they go to, even in the earlier episodes where they go to the beach with the crabs and everything like that, just using the environments to tell the stories and show again to just a lot about these characters is absolutely amazing. It really dives into the bigger and smaller characters. You get to know a lot of them from what they're wearing and like what's surrounding them or what they've done with the environments around them. Just again goes into the storytelling of the show so perfectly. And when it comes down to the characters, I know I don't want to say like it does lose points for it kind of being this way, but of course with some of the massive time jumps that they've done, I do understand how some people can be confused with a lot of the characters' names, where there's multiple Aegons, there's Jacaerys, Jaharis, Aegon, Aemon, so many names that are so similar or the exact same name throughout the entirety of the show that a lot of people are going to be confused, wondering who these people are. But that's just how the books are. That's how the Targaryens' history are. They passed down the legacy. They passed down the torch. All these things that, again, too, I found was brilliant in the aspect of it. But I get how some people can be confused. And same thing, too, with the time jumps that they're doing, where characters will receive different actors almost every other episode. Again, too, I can get how that can be a little tough to follow, but the show does do a really, really good job if you're paying attention, breaking it down into who's who. It's not really all too confusing by the end of the day. And I thought they did a really good job handling these time jumps. Usually, I don't like the multiple year time jumps within shows, but I found within the show they actually were able to weave it in quite perfectly. There were a few times in the earlier episodes where, again, with the crab feeder, I wish we would have gotten to know a lot more about him. There's again few characters, things like that, that I do really wish we would have been able to see more of, learn more of their history. Of course, in the Fire and Blood book, you do get that if you want to go into that history. It is a little bit more explained within the books that George R. R. Martin wrote. But in the show, I do wish that we would have been able to see a little bit more. I feel like it would have been better, just storytelling wise, and knowing a lot of these characters more. It would have brought a lot more life, lore, world building again to this world. But what they were able to accomplish with this first season was absolutely stunning. Again, setting up the big wars that are going to be coming, I found was just absolutely phenomenal. Pretty well paced for the most part. The show definitely found its ground in terms of its pacing within the, I want to say, the last 6 episodes, so episodes 4 through 10, but it's definitely the last half. So after the first major time jump, it really kind of nailed down into something that's very, very well paced. And within like the first 5 episodes, it did feel like things were being missed out on or things could have been explained more. But yeah, within the last 5 episodes, that's when the show really started to nail upon that pacing and just absolutely become flawless within that. There's some absolutely tragic moments, some heartbreaking moments, moments that are tough to watch throughout every episode of this series, especially the first one. There was something in there that was just absolutely haunting. But the way that they're able to use that trauma to haunt the characters throughout, again, the rest of the season was something absolutely great. Again, they handled just the burden of being a ruler and having the duty of again to being on the Iron Throne, just destroy family, destroy lives, destroy minds, things like that. They did an absolutely amazing job, which again too is one of the reasons why I think Paddy Constantine deserves Emmys and awards for his performance in this. He did absolutely amazing with it. Yeah, no fight scenes, everything like that. It's just so well shot. This is Game of Thrones really very close to its best. There's some incredible episodes in this with amazing pacing, and again, too, just with the setup that this first season did. Season 2, season 3, season 4, which I'm assuming all those 4 are going to happen, are going to be absolutely incredible because of its can be slow at points, can be a lot of talking and politics, but again, building up to this war is what we've all been waiting for, and I don't really think there's any better way that they could have done it, just with a little bit more explanation and world building in the earlier episodes to do so. But amazing characters, amazingly true to what these books were. They just did a fantastic job, and I'm so excited to see where the show can go from here. Of course, I've read the Fire and Blood book, so I know a little bit about it. There's some amazing things coming. So I do feel like this is, again, too, like I said, it's Game of Thrones near its best, and it deserves to be rated as one of the best shows. So I'm going to have to give this first season a 9 out of 10. Absolutely badass. Every seal of approval that I can give it, it deserves. It is unreal. It just did such a good job. It made me happy. It made me I never wavered away from being a Game of Thrones fan. I never tried to hide it after what we got from the ending of Game of Thrones. I've been anticipating this for a long time, and it exceeded all of my expectations to the fullest extent. But if you've seen season 1 of House of the Dragon, please let me know what you thought about it in the comments down below. And of course, if you like this review, definitely give it a thumbs up, and you can check out everything I do on the channel through a playlist down below. Links them up top here for convenience sake. Thank you for subscribing and turn that little ring around so you know when I upload new videos. If you want to check out the description of this video or my channel bio, there's a link to the Media Mountain, which is my Discord, where we talk about movies, video games, comic books, TV, pretty much everything that's awesome in this world. So you can definitely join that amazing community, help make it even more amazing than it is already. And yeah, just awesome, guys.
Sky blue eyes, I see a world behind them. No more time sinking into the silence.